Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm joined today by the wonderful Janine McDonald, an award winning professional declutterer and organizer, and the founder of the Clear Home, Clear Head, Clear Heart philosophy. Now, you might wonder, how does decluttering have to do with psychology and perfectionism and burnout? Well, you will see the connection now. Janine and I very quickly discovered that we speak to the same kind of people who are smart, successful, constantly busy, and sometimes secretly overwhelmed because of this high functioning place that they are in. They put off, though, decluttering their space because they don't have time. But then the clutter creates even more stress and even more mental load. And of course, lurking in the background is the perfectionist voice that says, if I cannot do all, then I don't need to do anything at all. You can see the perfectionist here. So we decided to team up and to have this conversation about realistic decluttering. I think that's the title of our conversation, right? About procrastination, about the role of perfectionism in our messy closets and overstuffed drawers, and how we can take really small steps toward more clarity and less chaos. Janine, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for that amazing welcome.
Well, I mean, it's amazing how we found this common denominator in both the people that are working, both your audience and my audience. But I was wondering, in your work, what are the most common mental blocks that you see in people who want to declutter, but then they cannot seem to start? And I admit, I've also seen myself in this position many times and saying, well, these boxes, they can be decluttered one day that I will have, I don't know, 20 hours available.
And
This
I
time
think
never
even if
comes.
you had those 20 hours available, you would probably find something else to do.
Very, very
And
possible.
yeah, a lot is that it's overwhelmed because of the amount of stuff there is. But also, it's different in that when you're running a company, when you're running a project, you've got designated tasks and you know there's a start and there's a finish and you know the steps how to get there. But with your own things in your home, it's a lot harder because there's a lot more sentiment attached to it. There's lots of
Mm,
memories attached to it. I mean, you mentioned the closet there. So many memories are attached with clothes.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
you remember not just, oh, I used to fit into that. I can't fit in that now. Or I'm going to lose weight to get into that. Or, oh, remember that night when we had that was so special. So you hold on to it. And it's almost like holding on to the memory because if you move that item, you're frightened that you're going to lose that memory. It's knowing where to start. And within most of us, we actually prefer helping other people to helping ourselves. So
Yeah,
when you do start to help yourself, you actually give yourself freedom.
yeah. And you mentioned so many things like don't knowing where to start, the people pleasing, preferring to help others than uh, supporting ourselves and helping ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I've noticed with myself, because this has been part of my journey too. I now know when I'm saying yes to everything else as an avoidance tactic, and I have to rein myself in and say, actually, am I doing this because I want to help them? Or am I saying yes because, yes, I do want to help them, but also it means I don't have to do what I really need to do?
That's so important what you're saying, the prioritization, knowing what's important, or knowing the real reason why I'm procrastinating. Am I procrastinating because something else is more important, or am I avoiding? That
Yes,
level of self awareness, I think, is key here because, of course, sometimes we don't always avoid when we don't declutter. There are other things that are more important sometimes, eh? But
that's fine.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Do people wait for perfect conditions, like when we said, like the having 20 hours available, or having more energy, or having more time?
I think it's the terminology that
Mm,
people use, in that they will use the term, I need to declutter.
yeah.
I need to declutter the house. I need to declutter my home. That is huge. Because if you're looking at decluttering your home, you are talking about every single drawer, every single room, every single cupboard, every single thing you will touch and make a decision on it. So if you think of the number of items that we have in our homes and the things that are left around, each one of those is an unmade decision.
Hmm.
So we become overwhelmed with the amount of decisions. But also, it's a huge task to declutter your home. So it's breaking it down into those smaller chunks. As you would do with a project at work or with other tasks that you have, you break it down into manageable steps. And
Yeah.
that may be, rather than saying, I've got 20 hours, what am I going to do? Because you'll probably decide to do something else more exciting. That if you've got 10 minutes, just set a timer for 10 minutes and go through a drawer, go through your makeup bag, go through the cutlery drawer.
Yes.
Just
This
one
is,
small
yeah,
task.
that's one thing. Yeah, one task. And here I understand the trap for perfectionists, because perfectionists, they have two specific ways of thinking that sabotage that simple thing that you just said. One is the all or nothing mindset. Either
Yeah,
I do the whole house or nothing. And also, the second mindset, the second thinking style is the minimizing. So if you say 20 minutes, I can hear the perfection says, yeah, 20 minutes. I mean, this is nothing. Even if I change or I declutter a drawer, that's nothing. So the small wins, the small steps mean nothing, or we minimize their importance because of this perfectionistic mindset, minimizing
yeah,
any small step, and of course going into all or nothing. That's the sure way to sabotage any attempt of decluttering our space or our mind.
yes. Because if you go in for all of it, you then get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then also, you have to be on the mindset of having that mental clarity to make every decision quickly to move forward at the speed you're wanting. So,
Yeah.
whilst it may be that you think, oh, actually, the draw's not going to do anything, it's the first step on that ladder. And every time you take a step up that ladder, you're getting
Mm.
closer to having the home that you desire and the life that you would love to be leading.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Exactly. Yeah.
don't think social media helps because, and I didn't actually realize this at the beginning, was a lot of, I'm going to say, influencers in inverted brackets that do reels and live, well, not lives, but reels and posts and little videos online, and their home is perfect.
Perfect. Perfect.
They actually hire a venue. So they may hire an Airbnb. So it's no wonder they've no stuff around,
No, really?
because they've hired an empty house but it's been furnished.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I often thought, how do these youngsters who are only early 20s, how can they afford a house like that? And it's
Wow.
because it's not even theirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
when it hit me that actually we are being fed perfectionism,
Mm.
which isn't attainable.
Yeah.
So on that subconscious level, it's being drip fed to us.
True. True.
So it's trying to take back that control of your thought process, in that actually social media is all the best things of people's lives. It's what they decide to have as a showcase.
That's another mindset shift that you're saying. Stop with the comparison.
Yeah,
Whatever you see out there is not necessarily true. And even if it's not true, it doesn't matter. What really matters is your own reality. If
that's
today
right.
you just managed to clean or declutter a drawer, wow, amazing. Even though somebody else has the whole house organized, it doesn't matter. What matters is your own reality and how different your life is from yesterday or from last week. That's the only comparison that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Exactly.
also love these reels. I mean, I haven't seen it very often, but I've seen them where they present exactly that reality that just said. The people, the influencers, that they have a perfect house, and in all reels you can see things tidy up or perfectly scattered. Even the scattering is perfect. And then they have this video, and at the same time, at the second part of the reel, they show you that behind the scenes there's a mess.
Yeah.
And I like how they deconstruct and they say, yeah, you know what? You see my other reels where my house is perfect, but it's not my everyday reality.
Yes.
Some days it's like that, but some days it's a chaos around here.
And it's nice when people do the behind the scenes, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
And I've done it before now, where I'm here.
Mm.
The red wall behind me looks very organized. I'm in my kitchen,
Yeah.
and up here, up on the ceiling, is my drying rack.
Yeah.
So the washing is hung down, and sometimes I'll turn the computer around to say, like, this is real life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
come back, because I think it's important. And people say to me, I bet your house is so tidy. And I go, well, actually, I live in the real world. I'm a single parent with two children who are busy off doing different things. I'm the taxi, I'm the organizer, so to have all the chaos going on at home, it's very difficult to have. You can have the home of your dreams,
Hmm.
but it may not be the perfect, unchaotic life
Yeah.
that you lead within the home.
Yeah.
But if your home then works for you and you're happy and it's your safe space, then it's working for you.
Yeah.
It's your own type of perfect.
Yeah. Thank you for being real. Thank you so much. That's appreciated. When you said about the drying rack and like all the things around you, it's the same situation also here. People see the books and the painting and tidied, but then right and left, you have no idea what's happening here in
Yeah,
my room as well. I have two cats. I have things for the cats and pillows and there are toys around the floor. So yeah, that's real life.
yeah.
Absolutely. Why did you decide to talk about that and to work on that, on decluttering with your clients? Why that topic?
I worked in a corporate organization, and I worked there for nearly 25 years. And then I was made redundant, struggled to get a job
Yeah.
because at that time I had two very small children without
Mm.
childcare. We were living with a friend on mattresses on the floor for 12 months until I managed to get the home that we're in now. I was starting to struggle with the amount of stuff that had come with us that we'd not seen for a year, and trying to organize it all. And I just thought one day, I love helping other people. And if I'm struggling with the amount of things that we have, I'm sure other people are as well.
Yeah.
And what I'd found myself doing was when friends were going, oh, do you know what? I need to sort the kids' books out. I'd get excited and I'd go, oh, let's do it now. And it would take 10 minutes instead of an hour, because you've got that accountability, you've got that other person there
Yeah.
to almost actually give permission, if you will.
Yeah.
I helped an elderly friend in her 80s, and she was downsizing, and she said to me, Janine, she said, I love you coming and helping me declutter. She
Mm.
said, because my family tell me what to do. You listen to the stories, and you support me with the decision.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. So that's when I set up my own business.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see from the way you're talking about this topic how much you love it and how how it stems from something really deep inside you. It's not
Yes.
just a job for the sake of doing a job. It really resonates with you, and you have seen the pain before,
Yeah.
but also the life that you have now because of the decluttering.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's that element where you realize. So when I spent the 12 months staying with a friend with my girls, we only had packed a suitcase for 2 weeks,
Hmm.
but we were there for 12 months.
Wow.
And my car became my storage. But then what you find is that you don't actually need a lot of the things you have. And if it's not making you smile as you walk past, why have you got it? Because
Hmm.
our possessions hold on to negative energy.
Yeah.
And the longer we keep things, sometimes the more difficult it is to let them go. And especially life changes for people in that they may have separated or got divorced. The split of possessions may have been different. So they may still be having to use furniture and things like that from a previous relationship, but now they're struggling to move forward. So I can see in clients, I can see the confidence, the positivity, the little sparkle comes back in their eyes of how they start to feel even within the first session of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
journey.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And you
And
mentioned before the negative energy, and you said also something else about emotions. Yeah. The emotions that all this stuff carry.
yeah,
So, do you see from your experience a connection between the physical clutter and the emotional clutter?
yes. I had one client who had kept a letter for over 20 years, and we were talking about it, and I asked why she thought it was important to her to keep, and she said, because it makes me cross. It makes me
Mm,
very angry. And I thought, wow, that's a long time to keep anger in you.
yeah.
And we talked about it, we talked around it, we talked about the circumstances to why she felt like that. And she said, right, okay, I'm going to do it. And she went downstairs and she shredded it there and then. Now,
Yes.
normally she would leave the shredding until after I'd gone because she could do it, she
Yeah.
could do that in her own time.
Yeah.
And she came back upstairs and I just said, how do you feel? She said, I feel like I've been released.
Ooh.
So it's almost like, people feel trapped.
Yeah.
But also as well, it's like you said at the beginning, my business line is clear home, clear head, clear heart. In that if you release and let go of the things that no longer serve you,
Yeah.
you're going to get more clarity in your mind because we make so many decisions every day, and having so many things around us
Yeah.
add on to those decisions. So it affects your mental well-being a lot, even though you may not think it. You've always got that in the back of your mind going, I need to sort that out. I need to do this. And
Yeah.
it's that need and should that comes back at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like having all these tabs on your computer open, even though you're working on one of them, still they're open. They take up memory from you.
Yes.
And I think exactly what you said, the impact, all this cluttering impacts our mental health. I think it's a loop where, for
Oh,
example, and let's talk about the clients that we have in common, they struggle with stress, anxiety, maybe even burnout. They're emotionally, mentally overwhelmed. And of course, decluttering is not at the top of their priority, but then not doing it is adding more stress, more overwhelm, the need, the should that you said, I need to do
yeah.
that. Oh, why I haven't done it. It also adds shame. Why am I living like that? What kind of person I am to live like that? And I had one of my clients that we were working on her anxiety and, finding her true self after perfectionism. And she was experiencing that same situation where she wanted to declutter, not one room, not one drawer, but the whole house. But because it was overwhelming, she never started.
Yeah.
But she told me that every morning I wake up and the first thing that I see is my chaotic room. And the first thing that I think is, what kind of person lives like that? She
Yeah,
used to wake up and she used to go to bed with that shameful thought. And that sustains that loop of stress, anxiety, burnout, shame, guilt,
that's right.
self-doubt. It's amazing, eh?
It's like it is a vicious
Yeah, yeah,
circle.
yeah,
And it's having that, those scissors to cut the circle of string in that let's break that cycle, even if it's with, one session. It gets you in that mindset.
yeah,
It
yeah,
helps. The hardest thing to do, I feel, is to ask for help.
yeah.
And by struggling to ask for help, that actually gives even more weight on our shoulders and
Mm-hmm.
more issues with our mental well-being. But by reaching out and being totally non-judgmental, because I've been there, I've had burnout, I've wanted to strive to have this beautiful home that everything's in its place, and it's very, very difficult. But by just saying, do you know what? People have known me for years, and they will then say, it's taken me 3 years to message you.
To reach out. Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And as soon as they've messaged me and I talk to them, because I'm very happy to share my story, they know I'm not going to judge. And just within that phone call, it's like, you can just feel
Yeah.
that sigh of relief.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because it's one of our worst fears, for perfectionists to be judged. And when
Yes.
they meet you, and the first thing that they feel is the safety and the non-judgmental environment,
Yeah.
who you're amazing already, yeah? Even though you haven't started the process, you have started the process.
Yeah. Because this morning, actually, literally this morning,
Yeah.
the other day I had a daughter ring me, have a conversation with me about her mum. And her mum's a bit older. So I said, okay, how about, she lives very close, how about a nip round? And I just introduced myself. And she opened the door and we had a little chat. I said, are you apprehensive? And she went, no, and then burst into tears. And I went, it's fine.
Wow.
I said, there's a lot of emotion
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pent up with all of this. And now I'm here. It's that relief that's coming out. And at the end, she just went, can I give you a hug? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And, I'm going to start working with her to help her rebuild her life
Yeah.
going forward. But yeah, people hold on to it for a long time.
Of course, of course. And for somebody who's constantly busy and claims that they don't have time, what's a simple practical step that they can take in order to start decluttering without feeling overwhelmed?
I always say just three things. And that's another little mantra of mine, just three things. So if you are so overwhelmed that you struggle to make that decision, is literally pick up three things that are next to you. Don't look at what they are. Just close your eyes if you needed to. Just pick up three things.
Uh-huh.
And then with those three things, it's, do I pack it away? Do I throw it away? Do I recycle it in some way? There, you've done three things.
Yeah.
But you've already taken the level of decision making out.
Yeah.
And if you think that, you put those three things away, and then later on you might go upstairs into one of the bedrooms and you go, just three things. And you
Yeah.
pick up just three things. So it's very slow, obviously, to start with, but it's a start.
Yeah.
Without having a target, without having the whole house in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
And a
take that
whole
little first
plan.
step.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Janine, you say it's a small step, but actually it's momentum.
Yes.
If I take these three things, not only I need to step out of the whole room or the whole house mindset, I just need to do three things. It makes me go into action, which
Yes.
is exactly what you need to reverse procrastination. It gives me immediately a boost of confidence because I finally got to do that. The decision, I got
Yeah.
unstuck from the decision making that or the indecisiveness that I was stuck in. And I don't know whether I will stop in the three things, because maybe just because I got this fresh air
Yeah.
of momentum, maybe I will pick more things. I don't know. I don't need to decide it beforehand,
Yeah.
but maybe I will like, okay, three things, 5 minutes. Okay, let's try another 5 minutes. Let's try another three things.
Yeah. And then, like you say, you've taken that first step, you've taken that action. And by
Yeah,
taking the action, you've clicked with your
yeah,
mindset,
yeah.
and you've gone, oh, that didn't take me long. Like
Mm.
what was I worried about?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then you can just keep chipping away and keep doing those extra things.
Exactly. You shared that really powerful tip, but also you shared before another powerful one, which is the accountability. I really believe in the accountability, and asking for help already is breaking a huge perfectionism, sabotaging mindset. So, decluttering, how do you help your clients align their space with their values, or with decluttering their mind as well? What is your way of working with them?
I work with everybody as an individual
Hmm.
because we all have different needs, we all have different desires, and we all have different visions. And by working with you with your story, your journey to where you are now, that helps me understand how you've got to where you are, but also it also helps me understand how I can help you move forward. So I might have somebody say, oh, I just need more storage, and go, no, rein back, because if you have more storage, you're just going to fill it.
Yeah.
So what we do, let's declutter first, and then we can look at the storage that works for you and how your house runs. And it maybe even we change some of the furniture around,
Yeah.
put it in different locations. So I work very much with with individuals, and I do that in home and I do it online as well. So online works really well.
Ah, online as well.
Yes,
So
yeah.
actually, you can work with any person on the whole planet.
I've got clients in Singapore. I've got clients in Ireland. I've had one in Australia.
Ooh,
So
wow.
yeah, it's literally I can support you from anywhere as
Exactly,
long as you've
exactly.
got a phone with a video on.
Yeah.
We talk about things. I notice things. So I will notice if somebody keeps picking something up and putting it down in a different
Mhm.
place. And that might be just a simple receipt, say,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'll notice that. So we'll then talk about that and that why, why they aren't making a decision around that piece of paper. And once we've talked about it, they may have that decision, but it may be actually, yeah, you need to hang on to that for another month and then it can go.
Here's the point where you do the emotional and the mental decluttering.
Yes,
Processing, why that stays, why that goes, what does it mean for you?
yes,
And some people just need to say what it means, and then they're ready to let go.
exactly. It's a very personal
Yeah,
approach
yeah.
because, there are other declutterers out there, but it's one approach fits all.
Hmm. Hmm.
And to me, that doesn't work because everybody's mindset is different. Everybody's at a different stage of life.
Yeah,
And some of the clutter or the amassed of possessions can come from a form of trauma.
absolutely.
So it
Yes.
can be generational, but
Yeah.
also it can be positive trauma as well.
Mm. Mm.
So, say, you're going to have a baby.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Most people will consider that positive. So it's a positive trauma because your life is changed beyond recognition. The same when maybe that child goes to university. That's a
Mm.
trauma because you've got a different life event moving forward, or downsizing, or relocating with work. Everybody is different.
Yeah.
Everybody's mind works differently. Everybody's
Yeah.
home life is different.
Before we close, how are the people's lives different after they declutter? Like when you look back into some of your clients, how did that transform their lives?
They are a lot more confident,
Hmm.
stand taller. use their voice, which is really interesting
Mm.
because before they may not have spoken up at work, they may have started to, you know, go back and not be as vocal, or maybe, you know, they're just not participating as much in social aspects or at work. And by decluttering the physical environment and the mind, it gives them their voice back to enable to move themselves even further forward. One of my first clients, her friend messaged me and she just simply said, Janine, thank you for changing my friend's life.
Wow.
And I still get goosebumps when I say that.
Yeah, 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 of
It's
course. Yeah.
life changing.
Yeah, giving them their voice, as you say, is huge. Like
Yeah.
they're functioning on a higher level of existence. They
Yes.
bring they find their assertiveness, they find their true self, they find their true voice, as you say. They are able to go after their dreams, pursue their dreams, and create the life that they want.
That's right.
They can have better relationships. They can have better relationships with their boss, with their colleagues. They can ask the promotion, as you say.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to be backstage anymore.
And it's better relationships at home
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
because you're 33% less likely to argue if your home
Oh,
is
there's
decluttered.
statistics about that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
You
all
become
right.
20% more productive. You become more creative. You make better food choices if you work from a decluttered desk,
For
and
sure.
you
Yeah,
have more
I've seen
energy.
that. Yeah, and you have more energy. Yeah, 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 yeah. I definitely see that in my desk when it's cluttered, when the things and papers and post-its and
Yeah.
cables around. Like, oh, I cannot make decisions. I cannot think clearly, and of course, that contributes to a degree. So when I do the decluttering once a week, for example, and I sit in my desk, I'm like, huh, I can work better now.
Yes. Yeah. It gives you that clarity.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Janine. Very inspiring, refreshingly realistic conversation. I like, we keep it real.
Yes.
It's not woo-woo and spiritual and whatever. It's real energy that we're keeping inside us, and the mental and the physical decluttering are connected. And I know for
Yes.
sure that many of the listeners or people who are watching, they are going to walk away with a sigh of relief. I'm walking away with a sigh of relief, to be honest. Like, yeah, everybody's struggling with that. And knowing that they don't need to wait for the perfect moment, they don't need to wait for the perfect mood, they don't need to have extra space, as you said, or the perfect containers in order to begin creating more space. If you're watching today, just take one small step. Maybe that's just giving yourself permission to start with 5 minutes or with just three things, as Janine said. Maybe it's letting go of the guilt around your messy drawer. Or maybe it's just finding an accountability buddy that you can share that this is what you're struggling with, and that's a lot. And maybe they're struggling with the same thing, and you're going to be there for each other. And of course, if you want to take it one step further and you want to do it with somebody who has done it a million times before, of course, you can work with Janine, you can find her, and she can support you on this decluttering journey, making sure that there's no perfectionism or emotional overwhelm anymore in your life. There's only more space for happy, joyful, and peaceful moments. Thank you